Welcome to episode 46 of the Delta Panthers Pod. I'm Mark Cantor, and fall sports and activities continue to wind down, so let's take a look. Cross country ran at the Warrior Lincoln Park Classic Western States Challenge on Friday. Delta's best finishers were Aaliyah Kinez for the girls at 78th and Grady Hellman at 96th for the boys. Cross country closes out their regular season in Montrose on Saturday. Football was on a bye this week and hosts Aspen on Friday. Coverage can be heard on the Delta Panthers broadcast network with pregame starting at 6:40 p.m. Boys soccer lost to Eagle Valley on Tuesday 2-1 with Jadam Garcia scoring Delta's lone goal. The boys look to get back to their winning ways against Rifle on Thursday, then travel to Steamboat Springs on Saturday. Softball closed out the regular season by hosting Montrose for Senior Day on Thursday. I spoke with head coach Jenna Sutliff before the game.
Jenna, for the first time this year, the girls have lost back-to-back games, actually 3 in a row now. Talk a little bit about where the team is mentally.
I think we're right where we want to be. We know that those 3 games are going to be our tougher of the past however many games. So I think there's a lot to work on and there's a lot to work through, and I think we showed that throughout. Rifle was a big comeback. Obviously we didn't get it done, and then we had Durango's number the first 4 or 5 innings, and so I think just showing the girls that there's a lot of good there. We just gotta complete a game. So I'm not worried about it, and I think their mentality is right where it should be.
You had a hard time in Durango in that first game getting the bats going, and then I think that second game, obviously, you guys jumped out to a pretty comfortable lead, I would say, but the errors really are what killed you in game 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the girls respond well, and so in that first game, we knew that we had to generate more hits and to execute a little bit better, and they did, however, with the errors. And so today, we're going to try to put the two together and get a dub.
So it's going to be an emotional game to end the regular season today, a rivalry game with Montrose. It's Senior Day. Again, talk about what the team's going through and how you're keeping them focused.
I think the girls are at a high level of focus. I think that, like you said, it's a big rivalry game. It's senior night on our home turf. So they want to protect the field and play to the best of their abilities going into postseason. And so I'm not worried about today. I think it'll be great for us going into postseason. And the girls' mentality isn't really emotional. They're kind of on to the next, and they know that we get a playoff run, and they want to make it a run.
Talk about your 4 seniors, Olivia Hines, Maddie Zemeski, Riley Bush, and Perla Valdez.
They're the best group of seniors I could ask for. They're so hardworking. They've really taken me under their wing as far as really given into my coaching philosophy and what I've done in the last 2 years, and not looked back. And I think that's what builds a great program. And they come in every single day and work their butts off for me, and we definitely have some big shoes to fill without them next year.
Talk about the example they've set for those younger players.
They set it on and off the field, which is something hard to come by these days, I think. They're at the top of their class. They're involved in lots of things other than softball. But more than anything, they take everyone under their wing, all the young kids, and that's something I can't really teach. And so I'm just very proud of them.
Talked about it being an emotional game. How are you holding up today?
This one's going to be a tough one for me just because I love these girls, and getting to see them work hard every day for 2 years, it'll be bittersweet for sure.
Let's end the season right. Go get a W. Good luck, Jenna.
Thank you.
The girls got on the board early and carried a 4-0 lead into the 6th, but Montrose took advantage of some Delta errors and took the lead 5-4. The score was the same when Delta came to the plate in the bottom of the 7th. With 2 outs in the inning and a runner on second, Olivia Hines smacked a single into left field to tie the game. Then, after a throwing error by Montrose, was able to win the game in dramatic fashion, scoring the final run herself and getting her squad the 6-5 victory. Hines finished the day 2 for 4 with 3 RBI, while Jaslyn Naranjo went 3 for 4 with 2 doubles, an RBI, and 2 runs scored. Regional brackets will be seeded tomorrow, so we won't have to wait much longer to find out where softball is headed for regionals. It was a busy week for volleyball as they lost 3-2 at North Fork on Tuesday, then won their second match of the season on Thursday, beating Eagle Valley 3-2 on Pink Out game night. They closed their week out with a 3-0 loss at Steamboat Springs yesterday. They'll host Glenwood Springs on Tuesday, then travel to Summit on Saturday. Coverage of Tuesday's game can be heard on the Delta Panthers broadcast network with pregame starting at 5:40 p.m. I had the opportunity to talk to volleyball JV coach Kayla DeVilbus this week to get her perspective on the season.
Kayla, the varsity team has obviously struggled to get wins this year, but as the JV coach, your girls have been a little more successful in picking up those victories. Talk a little bit about your team. Obviously, this is the first time we've talked this season. Talk about your team and your coaching philosophy with the girls.
The team has come together really well. We struggled a little bit when we were all at camp, but they have definitely gotten along, and they just trust each other more on the court. So that's helped them a lot to be able to be successful. They trust each other to do their jobs, and then they do their jobs well. I might have a different philosophy than most coaches. Yes, yelling and getting frustrated sometimes does do the job, but I've learned that not everything needs to be so serious. Sometimes you just kind of have to laugh things off and just reset them and the girls, because if you're frustrated as a coach, they're also frustrated as players. So you don't have to get mad and angry with them because they're feeling the same way you are. And so just to be able to just let it go and help them reset themselves as well has helped us a lot too, and has made us successful.
Now, I feel at the varsity level, there's a certain amount of pressure that comes with being a varsity volleyball player. Does that same pressure come at the JV level, or is it a little bit more laid back?
It's a little bit more laid back, but I want the girls to understand they're the future for the program. Yes, this is JV, it's not varsity. It doesn't maybe matter as much if we win or lose, but next year when they get on varsity, it's going to matter. So they need to start taking it seriously as a JV player first. And then when they get to that level, then they'll understand what it's like to be up there. So I hold them accountable.
Obviously, that is the ultimate goal for the JV players, is to play at that varsity level. What do you tell them about watching the varsity team and what they can learn by watching the other girls at that level play?
I really focus on the communication, because that's definitely something that lacks there, that we can control as a players and as a team. So I really tell them to watch them, and then their defense. Our defense has been really great from the back row, so I tell some of, especially my back row players, to watch where they're at, watch what they're doing, and then I also tell them to watch the other team, just because they have tells too. We have them, other teams have them, and then they can learn from those tells and use those and apply those in games.
Now, this is your first year as the JV coach. You had experience last year coaching the freshmen. What have been some of the differences? Obviously, the freshmen are playing with the goal of making it to JV, and then the JV players obviously to varsity, and it's kind of a systematic approach. What are the differences between the JV level and the freshman level?
The freshman level isn't quite as serious. I feel like they don't expect you to win. They just expect the players to get better through the season. That's kind of all they really want to see. JV level, though, it's a little bit more intense. So I really had to adjust my mindset from last year to this year that, hey, I need to take this more seriously, just like the girls need to. And so that has been a little bit different, but I feel like I've done pretty okay since we've won some games. But then there's been some times where I question what I'm doing is correct or not, because of the times we have lost those games. Luckily, though, we haven't lost very many, so I feel like I'm doing some things correctly. But I can still. It's my first year. I can still learn a lot from this year to next year as well.
Talk about your role during the varsity games. Obviously, you're sitting on the bench with Teresa and helping her, but it's not the same as when you're leading the JV. Talk about the differences between the two roles.
Teresa really focuses on the hitting part for our girls, and a lot of our back row and our liberos and our DSs, a lot of them come to me because they know that's what I'm watching, especially since I'm at the end line helping with stats too. And then I can help them fix, maybe their platform is weird, or they need to take an extra step, or just simple things like that they can fix in the middle of the game that maybe Teresa's not really focusing on. So that's what I feel like my role is as the coach.
Well, good. I wish you luck the rest of the season. Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This week's Student Spotlight is Dakota Rounds. She had the unique experience of being an exchange student in Argentina. Dakota, we'll just kind of get into this. We're going to talk about your experience as a foreign exchange student, and you went to Argentina.
Yes.
And let's start out. Let's I'm sure you had to get a passport for that. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay, talk about that process a little bit. As an adult, I know what it's like to get a passport, but for somebody who's under the age of 18, talk about that process and if it differs at all.
So it was definitely not as hard to get the passport as it was to get the visa, because you do have to get a visa if you're staying for more than 90 days of a work trip or school trip or whatever. So I did have to get a visa for Argentina, and I had to go to the consulate of Argentina in Houston and have a meeting with that guy. Did not speak great English, surprisingly, because he was working in Houston.
Sure.
So that was a little difficult, just mainly because I think that, so we work with a travel agency, and the travel agency from Rotary tells us all the documents that we need to have, birth certificates, anything, and also you already have to have a passport. So I would say that the passport thing is pretty much the same, except your parents have to sign stuff for you instead of yourself. Birth certificates, stuff like that. But the visa, there's a lot of different documents that you have to have, some that maybe aren't so relevant, but some that are. Like I had to have a letter from the high school saying that I was a student, and a letter from the school in Argentina saying that I was going to be a student, just so that they knew that I wasn't running around the country doing whatever. So that was that, but the travel agency unfortunately was wrong about one document that I needed to have. So we went all the way to Houston, and then the consulate told me that I needed a different document. So, but that's okay. It was just a document that I needed to email to him. Like, it's not, I didn't have to go back to Houston and do all that again. So, but after I got that second document, which was a document I needed from the district in Argentina, I was good, and I had my visa.
So definitely a process to start out with.
Yeah.
What made you choose Argentina, or did you have a choice?
So basically, I was looking nowhere towards Argentina. I've always had this kind of interest of Asian cultures. I've really wanted to visit South Korea, Japan. I think Thailand is a beautiful country, and I think their cultures are just so beautiful. And I just it's not that I have anything against South America, I just never really thought of it. But when I applied through Rotary, I was talking with the Rotary guy from Delta Rotary, and who handles exchanges. His name is Sam Keevan, and he told me that our district in Colorado does not have an exchange contract with South Korea. So off the bat, South Korea not an option. But they do have other Asian countries. They have Japan, they have Taiwan, they have Thailand. So got all my application filled out, whatever. We go to the first orientation where you get to see the different country options, and they tell you a little bit what it's like to be an exchange student. There's also a country fair where after this fair, you submit your 5 countries. You get to pick 5 countries. Doesn't mean you're going to get one of those 5 countries, but you get a list of 1 to 5. So I did this when I started this process when I was 14.
Okay.
And so when I left, I would be 15 and a half, which is the minimum cutoff age for a lot of countries. So a lot of countries that you can do exchanges on in this district, I couldn't go to because I wasn't 16 yet. Like Japan is strictly 16 and up. There's quite a few. And Thailand was strictly 15 and a half, but realistically, I wouldn't have been 15 and a half. It would have been 15 in a month or 15 in 2 months. So also not an option, which I don't really know if I could have maybe just willed my way through, but I just figured that a line was a line, and I
didn't want to cross it at that point. Gotcha.
So then we were looking more, and I was really upset about this, by the way, but it's fine. Obviously, it worked out fine. But, so then I listed 5 countries, which were not really countries that I had any interest in going to, except for Spain. Spain was my number 1, because I just think Spain is a cool country. And then I think Argentina was definitely my number 2, but it was my number 2 just because I didn't have any options. I had only literally 5 countries that I could go to, and so I had to put those 5 on my list. And I think that was Spain, Argentina, France, maybe. I think Taiwan was maybe on my list, but I probably wouldn't have went to Taiwan because I think Mandarin is just such a hard language to learn, especially in a year. Although there was a girl who went to Taiwan and she had a wonderful time. But so, yeah, we sent our application in, we went home, whatever, we waited a month or so, and I actually was sitting out in the cafeteria my freshman year, and I got the email saying that my country had been selected, and they gave me Colombia, which was the 5th on my list. I don't really want to go to Colombia. They have a couple problems going on right now.
Fair.
And my mom definitely would not let me go to Colombia. So at that point I was like, so I guess I'm just not doing an exchange this year. But a couple weeks later, maybe just 1 week, one of the contacts from Rotary, from our district Rotary, not from Delta, from the district, emailed my mom and said that they had a spot in Argentina that they didn't fill, and that they saw that Argentina was second on my list, and if I wanted to go there instead. And I was like, well, I mean, I've already paid the entrance fee, so might as well do something. So yeah, that's basically how I decided to actually go to Argentina.
That's how you got Argentina.
Yeah.
Let's, I guess, kind of back up a little bit. What made you want to try the exchange program, do the exchange program?
So I know that, like, Rotary specifically is it's an international program, and it's very well known. So I would say that the easiest program that is easily adaptable and everything would have been Rotary. So that's specifically why I picked Rotary. But, like, speaking of doing an exchange, I've always just really liked to travel. That's always been a thing that, like, my family, before I went for Argentina, I'd never left the country. And I have very little travel. So I went to Alabama, Wyoming, Utah, but other than that, like, airplane travel, not much. But I've always really been interested in that. And I'm really interested in other cultures and just really learning, because I believe you should learn something new every single day. I just think that makes you a better person. And so that's kind of where my goal went from looking into an exchange. Obviously, the Argentina part was different because that wasn't my goal to begin with, but doing an exchange was from that.
Talk a little bit about your host family in Argentina. Did you have just one? Was there more than one? Talk a little bit about them.
So my host families were a little bit interesting, actually. I had 3 host families. My first host family, and I don't really want to talk bad about my host families, but they were not amazing. My last host family, which I will say wonderful things about them because they are wonderful human beings. My host mom, she was just an angel. She helped me with everything. And I just had so many problems generally with my Rotary Club in Argentina. Nothing to do with the district here. Love them. They're wonderful people. But my Rotary Club in Argentina was terrible. They really, I believe, should not be hosting exchange students because they don't know how to handle it well. But my first host family started off really good. I think the only problem that came up there was I am the youngest child. They had like 5 other children. There was one girl who was in Denver doing an exchange, so I went to her house. But they had a younger son who turned 14 while I was there, and they had a 9-year-old. A 9-year-old that acted like a 5-year-old. Very, very, like, immature. And I understand that kids are kids, but I hadn't really been around that because I'm the youngest. So I don't have a lot of interaction with kids. I don't really have the patience for kids. So I think that was definitely, we had quite a few bumps in the road there because they're the very, like, gentle parenting type.
Gotcha.
Maybe the dad not as much, but the mom, like, the little kid's name was Pedro, and he starts crying, and, oh, baby, come here, I'll give you a hug and a kiss. Like, no, you did a bad thing. Why are we hugging you? But that's fine. Parents parent their own way. That's up to them. But then the only other thing that really happened with that host family specifically was that host family was part of my Rotary Club. So they were very involved in my exchange throughout the whole year. Like, even when I wasn't with them, they were still involved. But basically, my second host family that it was supposed to be 3 months.
Okay.
And so my second host family, they couldn't receive me when I needed to change host families because my host dad had like a problem, I don't know, medical problem, something. So I had to stay with my first host family for 5 months.
Okay.
But the head district of like Rotary said that every exchange student in the district needed to change. Like, they needed to go to a different family, no matter what. So the clubs had to find somewhere for me to go. For some reason, they chose a different town. So it was February, which is the last month of summer over there. And they tried to send me to a different town. And I was like, no. Because, like, all my friends, I had already made friends. I had already had this big friend group, and I wanted to hang out with them. And we went to clubs in Argentina. Because Argentina is such a fun country. But we just had a really, really fun time. And then they wanted to send me, it would be like, I was living in a city the size of Montrose, but to me, that's like Grand Junction. Because I live in Delta.
Sure.
So think of it like I was living in Grand Junction, and they tried to send me to Olathe. Big difference.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I had some problems there, and I talked about it with my host family, and I was like, well, I'd really prefer, like, if I could just stay here, because I don't really have any interest in doing that. I already have friends here. I'd really like to enjoy the rest of my summer here. They weren't really receptive to that, so then I went to my counselor. So in Rotary, there's like a step ladder that you need to climb up for problems. Very last contact is the district here. Like if you're having a problem where nobody around you can help you, then you contact the district here, but they really try to make you independent in your problems. So first step is host family. Talk to them. Obviously, they're part of Rotary, so that didn't really help. Then I had a counselor, which is, I guess it would be like Miss Magtutu here for me, was also not helpful. She was really not helpful at any point of the year, but I will give her a little bit of slack because I was her first exchange student that she was a counselor for. But she was very, like, a Rotary counselor is supposed to be on the exchange student side for everything. Like, even if you do something bad, they're supposed to advocate for you. And she was definitely on the Rotary side. So, I mean, that's that. But so then I did contact, after they both told me no, I did contact the district here and was like, hey, can you guys move your way through this? Because I really have no interest in going to Olathe. The city was called De la Garma. And when you look up the city on Google Maps, or like on Google, the first photo that comes up is usually like the coolest part of the city. No, it was the cemetery. The coolest part of the city was the cemetery.
It's a little off-putting, yeah.
Yeah. So my district here did get some work done and I didn't have to go. But then after that, it was just really awkward with my first host family because I'm pretty sure that my host mom got in trouble because they lied about me wanting to go to the city. They told the district, the head of the district in Argentina, that I was okay with going, and I don't know why they did that, but it's what happened. So, I mean, there's that. So definitely Rotary is not the best part of my year. Let's just say that. But they gave me an amazing opportunity, so I'm not going to say anything bad about that.
Right.
And
the local chapter, when push came to shove, they came through for you. In this situation where...
Yes, they sided with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got yelled at. Second host family, first week was amazing. Second week, for some reason, they decided that I could not invite anybody to the house. So, not really sure what happened there because I honestly have no idea what happened there. Because they told me the first day that I came to their house, they said, we love to have people in the house. We love to see you guys like going out and having fun and inviting people to the house. And they had an exchange student before me, which was another kid that was from Belgium that was in the same city. And he was their first host exchange kid. He invited everybody to the house. So I found it really weird that suddenly I'm in the house, and a week after, and I invited friends to the house, and they were okay with that. I always asked first. It's not like I showed up with Sally and Tim and we just walked in. No, I asked first, and they said it was okay. And so then I just found it weird that suddenly I wasn't allowed to do that. And I think that the root of that problem was a little bit of sexism, which is a problem in Argentina, definitely. But I hadn't experienced it until that family. I think that family specifically just has some problems. But unfortunately, I could not change host families. They didn't have another option. So I just had to stay with them for 3 months, and I basically didn't leave my room. So that was definitely probably the lowest point of my exchange. But then we ended it on a high note with my last host family, which, like I said, they were just wonderful human beings.
So, obviously, a difference in cultures from country to country, but a difference almost from family to family, how things work there.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I guess it really isn't different than here.
Yeah.
But just, it's a different country, so with the culture difference between the U.S. and Argentina, dealing with that in addition to, it was a little challenging.
Yeah, definitely. And I also had some other problems where Rotary, like, I was in a school that was basically like being in the high school ag class the whole day. It was a very ag-centered school. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I live on a farm here. For all of my life, I've raised cattle, worked in the fields, everything. So when I did an exchange, I was trying to get away from that a little bit, trying to experience some new things. Obviously, I was living in a city, but instead of sending me to one of the many schools that they have in the city, they sent me a mile out of the city to go to a farm school. I don't know. So I asked them if I could change schools. Absolutely not. Not acceptable. We can't do that. Which is a lie, because there's a lady from the district here who went to the very same city that I went to, who was in a different club. Like, it was both Rotary, but there's 2 clubs in that city, but she was in the other club, and they changed her school without problem. So I don't understand why one club in the same city would have different rules than, because they're both Rotary. But so yeah, I just basically had to just get over that. But they also told me that that if I kept making problems for them, that they were going to send me home. So that was just a little off-putting, because I was like, I'm not making problems, I'm just voicing my opinion. So anyways, overall, Rotary in Argentina, not a big fan, but
Okay.
last host family, big fan. I'm actually going back tomorrow. I'm leaving. I have a flight from Montrose to Buenos Aires, and I'm going back.
Very cool.
So, and I'm going to stay with my now boyfriend, his family, and I'm also staying with my first host family. No, my last host family.
Very good.
So,
Very good.
yes.
So, talk about the school a little bit. You said it's very ag-centric. Do they have the general stuff as well? The math, I guess, Spanish or whatever.
Yeah.
The languages there, science, that sort of stuff, as well as the ag stuff.
Yeah, so they definitely have, they have a schedule that is, you have different classes every day. So I actually had 16 different classes, which I got credit for a lot of those classes, actually.
Sure.
But 16 different classes, and some are more, like, we had math 4 times a week. Like, the core classes, we have the most a week. And then the electives, which are all ag-based, are other stuff. So they have levels of math. I was in the highest level of math, and obviously the highest level of English. And those are math and English are the only classes that you change classrooms for. You have a, home classroom, and then only for math and English, you change classrooms. And it's just a square. It's like a square patio. They have 10-minute passing periods, so you're just outside for 10 minutes, then you go back to class and whatever. But what I really did not like about that school is that they went from 8 to 4.
Okay.
Here, I get out at 1:05, 1:15, sometimes 2:55 if I have to do something in the office, because I'm an office assistant. But that was even before my freshman year, when I was here for a full schedule, I was getting out at 3.
Right.
And so, also, my problem with that was that is not normal in Argentina. That is the abnormal. They get out at 1 o'clock. And they go home and they sleep their siesta and then do whatever they want. So me going to a school for a cultural exchange, going to a school that was not culturally accurate, I think really kind of upset me. But I mean, it was just the cards that I was played.
Sure.
And I would deal with the roles. But
Talk a little bit about the people you met, because obviously those connections are important and very strong. You spoke about a boyfriend. You
Yes.
spoke about your third host family and just the strong connections you've made with them.
yeah. Okay, so first host family, the first thing they did, which I am very thankful for this, is the first day that I got to their house, they brought their daughter's friends, the girl who went to Denver, like I said, they brought her daughter's friends to the house, and I got to meet them. So I automatically had friends. First day of school, I was sitting with kids, talking to girls, automatically adapted into the classroom culture, automatically. So that was very good, and I stayed friends with those girls throughout the whole year, even when their host daughter came back, which was only for a week, because she came back in July, but and I left in July. So that was awesome, because those girls were they were so helpful. Most of them, all of them, except for a couple, spoke English pretty good, so definitely there the first few months, they were extremely important for me being able to understand the classwork, understand everything. They went to go buy clothes with me because I couldn't talk to the cashiers. They helped me with everything. So they're just wonderful girls. And then, like I said, we had other exchange students, obviously, in Argentina, and we would go on these district trips, and I made really, really good friends, lifelong friends. Even kids from the U.S. I made friends with, because they were also exchange students in Argentina. I have a best friend from Finland. She's an awesome human being. She's so cool. And then it's just so cool how I have all these friends from all these different countries, and I'm like, hey, if I want to go to Slovakia, I can call up my friend and be like, hey, can I come stay at your house? It's just really cool to me. So definitely exchange students, I have a lot of cool connections. Definitely in my city too. I have some male friends that went to my school. One of them's name is Aquiles, and which sounds very like a very Argentinian name, but this kid speaks English. Like his English is perfect. He talks, and he has a British accent because that's the English that they learn there, is that you learn Britain English. But like it's like going out in the hallway and you're listening to his kids like saying 6, 7. Like he knows all the slang words. He knows all the TikTok phrases. He knows everything. So he was extremely helpful with everything. He also came clothes shopping with me because he just spoke such good English. He could translate everything for me. And then obviously I talked about my boyfriend. His name is Santino. I met him like at the end of my exchange. It was a little double date situation with my friend Martina. And he's just a really, really cool kid. He doesn't actually live in my city. It's like living from Montrose to Olathe, so it's like a little bit of a drive. But he's just so patient. He's so caring, and he does also not speak any English, but he really is patient when, like, I do speak Spanish, and I speak it pretty fluently, Argentinian Spanish, which is a different dialect. But he's very patient when I don't understand something or when I'm messing up my verb conjugations or whatever. And then obviously my last host family are just amazing people. They took me on family trips with them, and they threw a 16th birthday party for me, and they were just awesome people.
You've alluded a little bit to the language barrier. You said you know Argentinian Spanish and stuff like that. Talk a little bit about that and if that was an issue, at least starting out.
So it was definitely a problem because I never took Spanish here. Never in middle school, never in my freshman year, never took Mr. Mesa's class, never took a Spanish class. I'd been on Duolingo doing hola, ¿cómo estás? But, like, that doesn't really get you that far. Especially because Argentinians don't lead with hola, ¿cómo estás? They lead with hola, ¿todo bien? Which is like, how is it? Are you good? And so, like, it was very different because they have a whole different set of slang words than you might hear from people who speak Spanish here. And Mexican Spanish and Spain Spanish. It's just they're so different. They have the base roots, they're the same, but their slang words and even words for normal stuff they might say differently. Like here, for avocado, they say aguacate. In Argentina, they say palta. Completely, like, not even anything the same. So that was definitely a jump that I had to get used to. Also, in Argentina, they conjugate their words a little bit differently. So, for example, instead of saying tienes, they say tenés, which honestly is simpler if you think about it, because you don't have to move as many vowels or anything.
Sure.
But when you've been hearing Spanish here, it's a little bit different to adjust to. And then also their, like, Spanish pronunciation is very different. They speak, like, with an Italian accent.
Okay.
Like, and they do this. They do the little Italian hand movement, which obviously the podcast can't see it. But basically, the double L's in Spanish, right, make a Y sound.
Right.
So it's like yo soy. No, of course Argentina, no. Argentina doesn't say it like that. Their L sounds and their Y sounds make an SH sound. So it's yo me llamo, not yo me llamo. Which is weird to adjust to. But now I can't do it like yo me llamo.
Right.
I can't do it. It's just automatically in my head that it's sho. So that's I think that's the biggest difference. But it took me about 3 months to start to understand and 5 months to speak.
Gotcha.
But 11 months total, I had a lot of time to still communicate and have fun.
Well, good. So it sounds like you had a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Is this something you would recommend to somebody else that is in a similar situation to you, same interests like that, to do? Is it something you would recommend that they do?
Yes, absolutely. I think a Rotary Exchange just opens so many doors for you, just realistically, for colleges, you have so many connections internationally. You have friends in any country that you can think of. And I think just having an experience, learning about another culture, and being independent. You're forced to be independent. You're forced to learn a language, and nobody is going to help you except for yourself. They can't force you to learn a language. You're there, and you have to adapt. And I think that's an amazing thing that people should learn, because adapting is not only something that you have to do in an exchange. You have to do it throughout your whole life. And it's a very important skill. So I would absolutely recommend it, if not for the opportunity to have this amazing experience, but also to learn some important life skills.
So it definitely sounds like you had an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, even though Argentina wasn't on your radar to begin with, it sounds like you fell in love with the country.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
really enjoy the people there. Obviously, you're going back, so it sounds like a great experience that you had. Which I'm happy that you were able to have that experience. Like you said, it's very important. I think like you said, it taught some lifelong skills, and I think that's great. And I'm glad you had such a good time, and it was such a positive experience. And thanks for talking with me today. I appreciate it.
Announcements for this week. The Panther Pride Marching Band performs at the CBA Western Regional in Grand Junction on Thursday. The performance takes place at 2:05 p.m. at Stoker Stadium. And this is fall break at the high school, so be safe and enjoy the break. That about covers it for this week. The Delta Panthers Pod is a presentation of Mad Canner Productions and sponsored by Elevate, A&M Creations, AmeriCar Auto Parts, Delta Ace Hardware, Delta Cabinet Company, Delta County School District, Hellman Motor Company, Jerry Ryer State Farm Insurance, Quickie Tire Service, Taco Time, The Sunflower Room, and Yost Family Dentistry. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you all next week.